We now have our good friend Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute, joining us on 95.7 FM. Story this week out of the Sentinel. Electric deregulation, like at least 18 states have done, would reduce residential and commercial rates. All right, Dave, take me through what this means and how we can get these energy rates down. I know it's the end of summer, so people are getting squeezed right now as is. So it feels very topical after that Evergy bill comes in the mail.
Well, good morning, Pete. And yes, and that Evergy bill is going to get worse because state regulators just approved another 10% rate increase. Electric companies have monopolies. They get assigned territories. And so you, right now, if you don't have deregulation, which simply allows customers to purchase electricity from anyone they want, it could be another Kansas company, could be a company in Oklahoma, it could be a company in South Dakota. The system exists to allow people to avoid the monopoly and go out and find the best price possible. And Kansas especially needs to look at this because electricity is a huge cost for homeowners, and it's a big economic barrier for businesses because our rates are so high.
It's a great point. I'm glad you're bringing this up. So, you think about it. You move into a house, you get settled in, you start getting your electric bill. You don't have a choice. You just get your Evergy bill in the mail. So are there states around us that do have better systems in place that allow for deregulation and, as a result, better prices for customers?
The states that have deregulation tend to be mostly in the northeastern part of the country. There's nobody in our general area, but even just buying from the monopoly in like Oklahoma, a business could reduce at the average price of Kansas compared to Oklahoma, a business could reduce its cost by 23%. For some businesses, that's millions of dollars. We're losing businesses when they come shopping to go open their facility in Kansas or some other place, and they're looking at spending millions of dollars more just on electricity. They go someplace else.
Wow. So that is a barrier in many ways to doing business here in Kansas. So, when you look at a company like Evergy, you know that they've got lobbyists crawling all over Topeka during session coming up here in the winter and spring. What is that relationship like? And, could a company like that play a big role in, let's say, the governor's race next year?
Certainly. Anyone could. Now, Evergy, yes, they do have lobbyists. They also help candidates, and they spend a lot of money building influence with legislators. So it would be a really tough battle to get enough legislators to look at electric deregulation. But it's something it's kind of a no-brainer for citizens.
Okay, so who needs to lead the charge on this? Is there a point man, a point woman? Is there someone in Topeka or someone statewide who you think can be that voice for the homeowner, for the business owner who's getting squeezed in Kansas on their electricity rates and prices?
Well, it'd be interesting to see how all the people running for governor, for example, would feel about it. It's going to take a leader. It's going to take a leader with somewhat of a bully pulpit to really start the conversation and get other people talking about it. Excuse me. I doubt that Governor Kelly would do that. I don't think there's really been an effort in Kansas, so it's hard to say where people would take a position. But as Kansas rates continue to get worse and worse, the need for it is so much greater. Remember back when wind energy, all this stuff started getting started, and utility companies were saying, oh, no, this is not going to raise your electric bill. Well, guess what? We've got huge electric bills and much higher than the surrounding states. So this is something that we're going to have to tackle, and it's going to take a leader.
Yeah, and it remains to be seen who that person's going to be. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute, is here on KCMO. So that's where I was going to go next. I mean, with all the push to wind energy and green energy, as it is dubbed, what role has that played in increasing electric bills for Kansans every single day? And how does that get reversed, if it can be at all?
Well, it certainly has played a role in rates increasing. It's not the only thing. I mean, you have to remember, utility companies don't make money by selling electricity. They make a profit by spending more money because they get a guaranteed rate of return as part of their monopoly agreement. So the more they spend, whether it's on transmission lines or wind farms or solar farms, the more they spend, the more they make. And so we have to change that dynamic and give them an incentive to maybe slow down the way that they're making money and bring rates down. Right? They have no incentive to bring rates down because they have a monopoly. So now think about, you've heard the data centers.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about data centers. They take an enormous amount of power to function. If we don't do something like this, we're going to have to be cutting deals with the companies that want to open data centers. And who's going to end up paying the higher prices as a result of deals? Everybody else.
Well, they're doing that in Missouri and Kansas City. They got all these data centers coming in up in the Northland. And, Kansas City likes to brag about it. And it's like, well, what is that doing to electricity rates for regular folks? And especially when you're giving, cushy deals and breaks to these big companies that are setting up these data centers. I don't think it's the win for the folks that people think it is.
No, it's really not. When you have to look at all the unseen consequences. And even if the rates aren't forced up because of some kind of a rate deal that's made, they're taking a tremendous amount of capacity. And that's going to increase the need. Then we're going to have to generate more capacity. And that will definitely raise rates for everybody.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dave Trabert's here on KCMO, Kansas Policy Institute. Hey, Dave, a last thing. I don't want to put you on the spot, but have you seen this group? It's called Forward PV, Forward Prairie Village. Have you seen this organization? I'm
not too familiar with it.
Okay. They just launched here as basically a rebuttal to Prairie Village United, the group in Prairie Village that's trying to fight back against the multifamily housing and all the nonsense and all the overspending going on there. And they have this website called forwardpv.com, and they claim that PV United has basically just tapped into partisan media platforms like they claim this show and this station, and they reference you. They say here, the right-wing lobbying group Kansas Policy Institute, which runs the Sentinel, also uses Mundo's show to push what they claim is partisan content. I guess if conversations like this, Dave, trying to figure out how to reduce electricity costs for regular Kansans is hyper-partisan content, then I'm guilty as charged. But this seems like regular, everyday stuff that regular people care about, left, right, and in the middle.
So I guess they're saying only one side is allowed to have what they call propaganda?
Well, that's true as well, but I think it's ridiculous to say that it's propaganda to talk about how to lower property taxes, how to lower electricity rates.
Oh.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Absolutely. When that criticism comes out, it sounds like this applies in this case. They never say what someone is saying like you or us is wrong. They just don't like the message being out there.
Bingo. Bingo. You nailed it. Well, yeah, check it out when you're done here. Forwardpv.com. They are calling you out and they're calling me out, Dave. So I would say keep up the great work. You're on the right track.
We will. We'll wear that as a badge of honor, and I'm going to go look at that right now.
There you go. Well done there. Dave Trabert on KCMO at the Kansas Policy Institute. Yeah, so since organizations like Prairie Village United are having success on the ground, pushing back on the insane spending that is happening in their community, they're actually winning back their city council. They've had people on the other side form this group called Forward PV. And they have this whole website and this one page on the website dedicated to this show where they claim we have just become a partisan media platform to support PV United. I think that there are a lot of people who probably disagree with me on national politics who agree on the idea that communities like Prairie Village, Overland Park, Lenexa, and many others are completely irresponsible with taxpayer money. They have done a terrible job in being good stewards of the taxpayer money, and they continue to increase their revenues and their spending at rates that are unsustainable. That's not a partisan opinion. That's a fact. That's an absolute fact. It's a stone-cold fact. And you've got these people in Prairie Village, to a lesser extent, Overland Park, Lenexa, elsewhere, that can't wrap their heads around the fact that they cannot continue to raise property taxes and raise their spending 5, 6, 7, 8% a year and think that it's going to end well for them. It's not. But now you've got groups forming in these communities claiming that this show is doing them a disservice, and we'll wear that as a badge of honor, as should Dave Trabert.